be on investing, and that's usually the one we get the most attendance is the investing seminar. Because everybody's watched a lot of HGTV and they want to flip a home. Because they think it's easy. Is it easy, Angel?
No.
Angel has flipped, I don't know how many homes, but he's done it as a business and been like the project manager of many flips. And to do them well, it is not easy. And as a real estate agent, you're gonna see a lot of poorly flipped homes. You're gonna see butcher jobs. I cringe and it hurts my heart to see butcher jobs, but they're out there. Matt's online, Autumn's online. We'll get everybody coming on. So I'm excited. Look at us, 8:55. We've got people in the room, people online. You guys are impressing me. I'm not easily impressed, so this is awesome. I'm kidding. Gonna have a good business meeting today. It looks like we had a pretty good turnout yesterday for Linda's contracts class. And remember, she has ready to write an offer tomorrow at 9 a.m., 9 to 11. You can watch on Zoom, and it is recorded. And you can be here in person, which is even better, especially with contracts and going through them. The Ready to Write an Offer is a very valuable class. The more you can practice, probably the most important things for you all to focus on, if you have not yet, or you're so new, is contract training, .loop training. Those are two of the most important things. Yes, I want you to learn how to get business. So I'm glad you're here to learn how to get business. However, if you're doing open houses, or you're talking to people about your real estate business, or you're doing any of those activities, then you better be learning something about the contracts and definitely about .loop. It is not helpful for you to come to us as coaches at the last minute and say, I gotta write an offer. Oh, and offers need to be in an hour and a half.
Aye.
An hour and a half. Right? That's almost, you're asking for a miracle. We're good. I don't know if we're miracle makers. I don't know if we're miracle makers, right? So I want you all to know that we will do our best always as coaches. And who do you go to first when you're going to write an offer? Say that out loud. Linda. Linda is our contracts coach. Linda is our contracts coach. That means you go to Linda first. And do you go to her the moment you need to write the offer or earlier? Earlier. I liked how Megan said that, earlier.
Let her know you might be needing an offer.
Yeah,
Showing houses.
if you are showing houses, I don't care if you think you're gonna write an offer or not, then you need to let Linda know, and you should let your coach know also, in case they need to be back up, because you go to Linda first. And if Linda is not available in the time frame, if you have a very short time frame, and I hope you don't, but sometimes you do, let's be real. Then it's gonna be your coach that you go to. Does that make sense? I don't want any question on, I didn't know I was supposed to go to Linda. Linda has to see documents, all of them. And all of them before you send them off for signatures. Don't say, oh, here they are after the fact. Because how can we help you from doing something bad if we haven't seen the documents in advance? And the good thing is many things are fixable in a contract, but not all things. I'm gonna say that again. Most things are fixable in a contract, but not all things. So, because you're new and you don't know what you don't know yet, that's why you need that other set of eyes on those contracts before you go sending them off for signatures. And I don't care how many contracts you've written, you guys are still new at this. Yes, I love it if you've had a lot of practice, that's great. But please don't wait to write a contract. How many of you have written either contracts for a client or practice contracts? Raise your hand. Practice contracts? Serenity? Thomas, have you written?
Practice.
Have you done Linda's challenge? Contracts challenge, it's monthly. You do it. You do it. Because if you're out showing or doing any activities that could get you a client, you gotta practice contracts. So I hope, here's Olgie coming on, Ryan's coming on. Okay, it is 9 o'clock sharp. Let's get it going. And I'm gonna do, I'm sorry, I'm gonna pull a little switcheroo on you, not a big one, just a little one. But we're gonna actually go a little backwards on our material today because there was a little bit of the material from the intro, the power of one, that I wanna go back to because there was so much in that section that Tuesday and Thursday, I did not have the time to cover all of it. And so we're gonna go a little backwards, and then on Thursday, we will do building validity and positioning. It's a much shorter session, so we can cover all of that on Thursday. But as I was getting ready for the building validity and positioning last night, I was like, you know what? I really feel like I know I asked you all to read this material, and so you hopefully have seen what I'm gonna go back on. But it's just too good. It's just too good. And it's too important for us to not discuss it together. So we're gonna go, I'm going to share screen here and we're gonna go into the PowerPoint. So those at home, viewing at home, can join us too. Okay, I'm all hyped up because in the car, I was listening to my new CD on Moulin Rouge from the musical, singing the whole way. I do not have Thomas's voice. I wish I could sing like Thomas, but I was having a fine time. I'm sure people were driving by going, "Oh, what am I
That's
doing?
what it's all about, just.
Did we lose the?" If you have an inkling to go see it, it's a wonderful show. It's fun. The music is amazing and wonderful. It's at the music hall until August 2nd or 4th. So you still have, I think until this Sunday is what. It was fabulous. Okay, let's try to cast again. Maybe somebody kicked me off, I'm not sure, but here we go. And we're gonna go into slideshow. I'm on the Wired to Win. So if you're in the materials, it's page 49. And we're gonna talk about the Wired to Win. You must be wired for leads. So winning in our world is really about having potential business. There's a lot more to it than that, but that is the basic premise for this business is you got to have leads to have business. Is that right? Yeah. So here's what John Maxwell says. Anybody read any of his leadership books? He's got a ton of them. I've read several of them, but this is from one of his books called Failing Forward. And being wired to win has a lot to do with how you think about failure. And we're all different. We're all wired differently on how we think about failure and how we handle failure. And John says how people see failure and deal with it, whether they possess the ability to look beyond it or keep achieving, impacts every aspect of their lives. The difference between average people and achieving people is their perception of and response to failure. Nothing else has the same kind of impact on people's ability to achieve and accomplish whatever their minds and hearts desire. Has everybody heard about the Henry Ford quote? If you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're right. I'll say that again. If you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're right. Because that's what you have been telling yourself. That's what you believe, right? So one of the things in this business that I see is you come in gangbusters and you're ready to go and you're ready to hit the ground and you're running. You're attending the training, you're doing the activities, and nobody's told you yes yet. They haven't even told you maybe. You're like, this isn't working, I'm failing. And too many times I see people get to the 90-day mark and boom, they're done. Didn't work. I can't do real estate. They didn't have the mindset that it's okay. Do you think about it as an entrepreneur. Do you have the luxury to give up if you poured everything into this dream? And many of you have, right? And this is what you want to do. So failure really isn't an option. It's just part of the road, and then how you handle it. So he says that there are 3 attitudes towards failure. There's fearing failure. I think Diana Kokoska, who used to be the head of KWRI's coaching program, MAPS, she used to say that people want to look good and be right. It's human nature. We don't want to mess up in front of people, do we? Don't we hate making mistakes in front of people, most of us? Right? It's uncomfortable. You don't want to screw up in front of others. You want to always put your best foot forward. Well, if you live in that world and you fear that all the time, then you're going to probably, do you think you're going to be willing to go take risks and jump? No, you're going to be in fear the whole time, and you're not. So as an entrepreneur, that's really not a good mindset. Okay. The second attitude he talks about is misunderstanding failure. Meaning, well, let me ask you guys, what's your definition of failure? What's your definition of failure? Doug?
My definition of failure would be you tried and you didn't succeed, and you quit.
You quit.
Whatever you do, whenever you fall down, you got to stand back up.
Yeah. Okay, so when you stop trying, that's failure. Yeah. Because sometimes when things don't work out and we see it as a failure, it's really us, what we do next, that determines if it's a failure or not. The third attitude is not being prepared for failure. Oh, okay. So you're a real estate agent now. Can I tell you that some things I want to prepare you for that are not so fun? Can I do that? You're not going to close every deal. You're going to be under contract. You're going to be going towards the closing table, and it might all implode. Although you've done everything perfectly, everything, and it just all goes down in flames. So I want to prepare you that not every deal is going to close. Matter of fact, when I talk to agents and we do the business plan, David's MREA business plan, and we have a conversion rate in there of about 75%, or that you're going to close 75% of your deals. It's actually to protect you. So that we're not making your goal a lofty goal, we're actually having a fallout rate factored in there. And I'm always a little amused when an agent says to me, but I close 100% of my deals. And I'm like, I'm thinking in my head, obviously you've not been doing this very long. Because none of us can say that as agents if we've done this any period of time. The other thing is that you might consider failure is not everybody you know is going to use you as an agent. They're not. It's a fact of life. It might be because you neglected them and then they didn't think of you as top of mind. It could be your fault. Or there could be some other thing. It could be that they don't want you to know that much about their finances and be okay with that. It might be that their son's mother-in-law is an agent, and to keep family peace, won't keep it in the family. You got to be okay with that, and that's not failure. It's just people made another choice. So be prepared that being an entrepreneur is exciting, to say the least. And sometimes you're going to have disappointments. And you've got to learn how to pick yourself back up. You have to. And while we're talking about, I had to rewire myself when it came to being an agent and when things fell apart. Because the first time it got ugly for me was in my second year. It was August, so about this time of year. I had 3 deals under contract. They were supposed to close in August. And they all went down in flames separately. And I had nothing else in the pipeline. After I stopped hyperventilating, because I had to put food on the table. This wasn't like play money for me at all. I couldn't get myself out of the ditch for a good week. I wallered in there. I wallered.
Okay, so I'm glad you said that because, you know me, and I had a plan and it went south. And I stayed at home for like 2-3 weeks. I got lost.
It happens. So Thomas, what I had to do, because I had to realize, okay, this is going to happen in this business. So I've got to get better at what I do, and I have to change my mindset. And so I decided for me, I would get a 24-hour pity party. When something bad happened, I was going to give myself 24 hours to do, oh, woe is me, and fall in the ditch and waller around and feel horrible and bad for me. And then I said, I have to get up out of the ditch because my business, nothing's going to happen in my business if I don't get up and out. So I had to learn, even though it wasn't easy. I didn't like it. I wanted to, sometimes you want the pity. I just, and it was hard to bounce back. When you get knocked in the knees or kicked in the gut, sometimes it's hard to get back up. But I had parameters for me. And it's worked. It's still not easy. I got a little kick on the gut last week, and I was like, ooh. And so I had a day of just, I vented to my husband, and then my poor husband, he'll want to give input, and I'll say, no, I'm done. I just needed to release, because he's like, and you should do this. And I'm like, no. I just needed it out. Right? Is anybody like that? I just need to release it. And then I can't keep talking about it because that makes it bigger for me, right? The more I dwell on it, the more I talk about it, the bigger it becomes. So I have to just let it out, and then I got to close the door. That's how it works for me. You've got to decide how can you put failure in perspective and achieve and put that mindset as moving forward. Does anybody else struggle with that when bad things happen? Get in a ditch? Oh yeah, it's human. But we have to create some resiliency in this business. When you're an entrepreneur, you gotta be able to weather the things that go up and down. And it's not always easy. So putting it in perspective is really important. Here's the bottom line is, you are in, I will say you're in the service sales career. So I don't say we're pure sales, because I can't make you buy and sell a house. I can't make you. So we're in the sales service career. And you're gonna hear a lot of no's before you get a yes. Because here is the absolute truth is that not everybody is gonna be ready to buy and sell a house. So you can't hold a grudge against somebody who just can't do it yet, right? And I see some people like mad. What, they're not gonna buy a house now. It's a good time for them. Don't keep at it, go look for somebody who is ready and can do it. It's okay. They will down the road most likely be able to do that. So don't give up on them. And the discipline of lead generation winning is having a rich pipeline too many times. And I think, and I get it, because I had the same mindset. I wanted now business. Everybody I met in an open house, I wanted them to just tell me they need to buy a house now. That's what I wanted. I want you to tell me you need to buy a house right now. But then I realized that not everybody's going to be ready, right? And if I totally ignore those other people, then they won't think of me when they are ready. So if you've ever heard me talk about my database, I didn't throw anybody away. Unless I didn't want to work with you, unless I didn't like you. And I'm like, ooh, I don't want to work with you. Or you told me to go away. Or that you're working with another agent. You stayed in my database no matter what. If I had contact information on you, that's all I needed, and I could market to you for free if I had a cell phone number or an email address. And that's what I did. So I learned that those people will pop out at different times if I stay connected with them. And so please don't lose the perspective that when you're new and you're doing lead gen, that you're just looking for the yeses. Yes, believe it. Yes, you want the yeses. However, you want everybody, because everybody will hopefully have a real estate need down the road. And some of them, it will be just 6 months. And just because they didn't say yes to you, you didn't follow up with them because you wanted now. Does that make sense? Because I want you to think of your pipeline, this sales pipeline. It should be full of people who said something about wanting to do real estate someday. Should be all in there. And then they're going to start, and that's what gives you what appears to be a steady business and not a roller coaster, is because you've got the pipeline. You know what happens the most when you're new? Here's what happens. You get a deal, you get your first client, you go under contract, and you're obsessed with everything about that transaction. Well, because it's all new. So you don't know what you're doing. So you're like, oh, am I doing everything all right? And you become, that transaction and that deal becomes your whole world, and you do no lead generation. What happens when you close that deal? What's behind you? Nothing. And you're gonna go, oh my God, I gotta go do 55 open houses. I've gotta go, because I didn't have this, wasn't building any kind of pipeline. So every lead that you're getting in every activity that you're doing, you should be hanging on to and connecting with them. So it's the discipline of lead gen that gets you the business, that gets you the rich pipeline of potential buyers and sellers. Does that make sense? So really in real estate here in the beginning, it's not about being a realtor. It's about being a lead generator. You're gonna learn everything that goes with this business. You gotta go out and get the business. So we don't sell real estate, we generate leads. This is my business. I am a lead generator. That's a top agent in Texas, Kurt Bueller. Winning is a habit. Unfortunately, so is losing. That is Vince Lombardi. I think some of you know, he's a former coach of the Green Bay Packers. So how are you wired? How are you thinking about this business? How are you thinking about how you go after this business? And Gary Keller says in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, he says, you're actually in two businesses as a real estate agent. Did you know that? Under this umbrella, you have two businesses. One, the real estate business. That's the servicing of your clients and the transactions. Two, lead generation business, so that you can do number one. Because without number two, you do not have number one. I know some really good agents, meaning when they have a client, they take the best care of them. They're amazing. But they don't do enough of this to be able to do what they're really good at. It makes my heart sad because people are missing the opportunity of working with those agents, and they do a fabulous job, but they've not learned how to reconcile themselves with, I gotta do this too. Yeah. Can't be realtor without being a lead generator. How does that make you guys feel? Yeah, I can tell you're really, really excited about that's what you do. How about those on Zoom? How does that make you feel?
It's in my mindset, so just try to stick with that.
Yeah, Ryan, that's true. And you've got to, this takes work, getting your head wrapped around this. Cause you know what I hear so many times when I'm talking to people who want to get in this business, you know, when I say, well, why real estate? What do you think they tell me?
Money and the simple.
That's part of it.
They watched HGTV
And they-
thought that it was gonna be easy.
Yes, and they want to show pretty houses. I love houses. I watch HGTV. I want to show pretty houses. Well, most houses we show are average, if even that. Some are downright nasty. Nasty. Like the house, I used to take my shoes off before I entered every house, or as I entered every house, to, you know, be nice and not step on people's carpet, until the time when I did that and I stepped on the carpet and my feet stuck to the carpet. Yeah. And then there was dog poo right over there and rotting trash and and I had to put my shoes back on. And I really wanted to scrub my feet.
I always call
Yeah.
agent ahead of time.
That did me in. So Legion is what we do. We have two businesses. I want your head to wrap around this. Is your definition of Legion holding you back? Remember, we talked about this last week. How do you feel about Legion? I've had people say, oh, we need to talk about it differently. We need to call it something different. Well, I can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig, right? So I can put lipstick on the term Legion, and it's still about, here's what a lot of people think. I will tell you the number one thing I hear people say when I talk Legion is on cold calling. Well, you know what? Actually, in this business, you may never ever have to make a cold call if you do the other activities really well. And for some of you, cold calling will be your secret sauce because most people won't do it. You know that FSBO and expired email you get every day? And you're like, You look at it, I'm sure, maybe you don't. You're thinking, I'm not doing that. Majority of agents don't do that.
Well, don't start sending them to us.
Oh, I'm not. I pay for that. That's a service I pay for. You can also use it to see if there are any for sale by owners that might be a match for your buyers. I mean, you can use it even if you don't. Oh, somebody's having a birthday. That's so cute. If you want to change your mindset, lead generation is relationship building. It's connecting with people and building relationships. That's what it's all about. So don't think of it as this cold calling or this impersonal activity you do, because it's not. It's about building relationships. And really, where do we start? We start here. We start with the people here. You've got people in your phone. And here's what I hear. Well, I do. I have 200 people in my phone, but I hear the but yeah, no, oh, no. Why are they in your phone then? It means that you have some fear about talking to these people on some level. And I get it, but you've got to work through that. You got to work through that, to say the least. So also, by building those relationships, you're building opportunity, which will get you to financial independence, right? That's what it'll get you. That's what's important. So here are the 4 goals of lead generation that I want you to understand. This is what you're going for every time you're having conversations. That doesn't mean, again, remember I told you, you cannot force someone to do business with you. You can show them why now might be a good time to buy or sell and what value you bring to the equation. You can't force them. But in that conversation, you're looking for, is there an opportunity that they may need me? And if they're talking about buying and selling, then I need to get an appointment to be able to get the business. I need to spend a little bit more time with you, see if we're a match. See if I can do what you want and need. Or I want to educate you that I can help anybody you know. I can even help them if they don't live in Kansas City. How can I do that? How can I do that?
Finding an agent where they can.
And it's up to us to educate people. Here's the other thing. I see too many agents, new and experienced, assuming that consumers understand how we do business. Serenity shared something last week that I thought was just perfect. When she was a buyer, she didn't know how her agent got paid and she didn't care. What? But that was reality, that she is the typical consumer. They don't know. So it's up to us. If there's misunderstandings out there and people are not using you or not referring you, it's because you have not educated them. You have not told them what you do and how you can help them. And that's what we do. We help people. We don't sell them, we help them. And that's what you've got to understand. And then you have to, if they're not ready for this and don't know someone for this, then this is what you do. You build a relationship for future business and referrals. Because that's what builds your pipeline and feeds it. When you only go with people who are now, you're ignoring the people that are going to build your future. So we gotta treat everyone as if they're valuable. And then you increase your MET. What are METs? What are METs? People you already know, METs. It's in the MREA. If you've not read that book, you read that book. How that match of the strangers you meet in networking or legion activities that you hope to get in relationship and then they will do business with you. So, does this make sense? This is your 4 goals. So it doesn't just say, just get an appointment, does it? Doesn't. Because if you're that narrow in your focus, then you're limiting your growth of your business by a huge margin. Does that make sense? Okay. So where do you find leads? Everywhere. And ready for the picking. If you don't go after them, someone else will. Somebody else will. I see too many experienced agents who have gotten mad in the past because a past client did not use them. Well, I can almost guarantee you it's because that agent didn't stay connected to that person throughout the years. And I get how it happens. It's not always on purpose. So I'm not in the blame game of blaming agents who have dropped the ball, because it's gonna happen to all of you most likely. Because we have the best of intentions. We get busy. And then we think, I'll do that next week. I'll do that next month. I'll talk to them next year. I'll catch up later. And we don't. We don't have systems in which we communicate with them that are automated to help us in that purpose. Does anybody in here use a smart plan, an email campaign or text campaign with their clients? Raise your hand. If you don't, then you're just relying on your good intentions. And I have the best of intentions, but sometimes I forget things, or I just get crazy busy, and then I feel terribly guilty. I woke up this morning sending an email thinking, I should have sent this 2 days ago. And then I thought, but when did you have a chance? Oh, okay. So if you don't have any automation in your business of staying connected with people, you're just relying on your good intentions. And here's the thing. I want you to write this down or circle it in your material. In a large group of adults, approximately 8 to 12% will need a real estate agent this year. That's the historic trend. 8 to 12%. And if it's not in the materials, write it down. Guess what it was last year? Guess what it was last year? Give me some guesses. How about people online? Give me some guesses. What do you think the percentage was last year of people who had a real estate need?
11 to 15%.
Good guess, no. Ooh, your first number.
How much lower?
4% had a real estate need last year. Is that a little bit of a decline? Does that kind of make you understand why maybe it's been a little harder to find somebody ready now? And I don't know what it is this year. I think it's going to be 4 to 5 at the most. At the most. Matter of fact, right now, it's feeling more like a 3 to me. So what does that mean about your database? Constant contact and, Brian, would you pull that door shut for me? Thank you. Constant follow-up and, woo, ding, ding, ding. Serenity said it needs to be a bigger database. most of our agents here, Blake Nelson, does anybody know who Blake Nelson is? Who is he? He is our top performing agent. Do you know who I saw coming to work at 8:30 this morning, like I see him every morning? Blake Nelson. He came to work. Wow. What a concept. And his database wasn't big enough because he didn't exceed his goal last year. He was lucky to be the same as the year before. Because of that 4%. This matters. This matters. So that's why, remember I said not everybody, don't get mad at everybody because they're not ready to buy our stuff. Because this is the historic number. And we're at 4% last year. So you need to constantly grow your database so that it can weather any type of market. Because here's what, and it's not good or bad, but there are different philosophies of databases, and we're going to have a whole session in this course about database. Can't wait. And you have to have it big enough to weather any storm. And then not only does it have to be big enough, you have to communicate, like Ryan was saying, you have to communicate it with it consistently. Or it doesn't matter how many people are in there if you never talk to them. I hear agents say, well, I have 1,000 in my database. And I'm like, when did you talk to them last? Well, got them on smart plan? Well, I've been thinking about that. I just haven't found one I like yet. So no, they have not been talking to their database at all. What is the relationship opportunity here? Buyer, seller, future customer, referral source, Dick Dillingham, who is a master instructor in Keller Williams University. I've been lucky enough to have attend classes that Dick has taught. He says every morning he thinks about who will I find today. And he does it in a positive way, like, that's an opportunity. Who do I get to talk to today? Not like, oh God, I gotta talk to people today. Well, I do feel that way sometimes. But not too often. And then he says, he's going to be the next entry in my database. If you read the material, you know, he told a little story about how he had 800 people in this database. And he sat down on an airplane and he sat down next to a gentleman, they struck up a conversation, he thought to himself, this is gonna be 801 in my database. And it was. Somebody on an airplane, you might assume, oh, I can't help them, they probably don't live here, right? He didn't think that way. Let's talk about the training, implementation, and accountability. Okay, you're in the training. In the learning, soaking it up to learn how to do all of this different types of lead generation. And then, please, I know some of you love to learn. I am a learning nerd. I am. I will never know enough. I will never. I just love it. But then you have to go do that. Implementation thing is real. and it to do the implementation, and then we'll talk about why the accountability piece is so important. So together, it's the training, the implementation, and the accountability is what will move your business and you forward. It's not just one of those things, it's all three of those things. You're attending the 36-12-3. What do you guys think so far? Do you like it? Yeah, getting some value from it. What about you at home? You getting some value out of this course? I mean, we're just 1 week in. 1 week and 1 day.
Yeah, absolutely. I
So
feel
get
like
out
these are the kind of, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Elgie, go.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say sometimes these are the kind of conversations that you have to recenter yourself and kind of get your your database and your motivations and everything in order. Just I think sometimes we're trying to do too much, and it's good to center and kind of go back to the basics, which is your lead generation.
Yeah, because there's so much noise going on in the beginning for you guys. And as a solo practitioner, there's a lot of noise of things you feel like you need to be doing. And we can easily get distracted. You're spot on. And that's why you have to have 3 hours of lead gen every workday. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you to show me your calendar. That even means you guys online, show me, I wanna know, do you have a digital calendar or not a digital calendar? Show me your calendar. I'll show you mine. I have Legion blocked out. I have Legion, which for me is recruiting appointments. So it's on my calendar 3 times a week because I have to have 6 appointments, 5 to 6 appointments a week. What's on your calendar? Is your Legion time on your calendar? Be honest, is it there? Pull out your calendar. See it on Ryan? Got it. On your calendar? Yes. On your calendar? Okay, and this is a learning process of building good business habits. Now it's on your calendar, do you honor it?
Definitely not.
Okay. Trinity, thank you for that. I said, do you honor the time you have on there? And she goes, definitely not.
I want to get it, like, I'm trying, I make goals for the beginning of the year, and so I try to just do 3 things a day.
Love it.
Which to me is like Legion, my spirituality, and then exercise. And so I got 2 out of 3. I only have to do Legion today. That's it.
Okay. It is a work in progress and you're gonna work up to it. Very few people put this on their calendar and honor it immediately. Most of us will give away our Legion time in a heartbeat because we don't. We're like, oh yeah, I can do this, that can wait. Right? So self-awareness is half of the battle. So you being aware is going to help you to build that habit and keep that habit. It's when we ignore, and that's part of that awareness is also part of your accountability. So getting into an accountability relationship to help you measure your results and continue to build your great skills and habits. That's really important. And I'm going to tell you this, that accountability piece, some of you do it every single week with our activity tracker, the launch activity tracker. That's where you can start. Because accountability, I know that many of you have, or not many of you, but several of you have wanted an accountability partner. And I'd love to tell you that that's easy, but it's not. And really the only person who can keep you accountable is you. A coach, a peer, someone else in your world can help you keep yourself accountable, but no other person can hold you and keep you accountable unless you are truly willing to do it yourself. And that's not easy because I don't think as human beings, we're naturally accountable. I don't think we are. I want to show you a brief history of lead generation training. It starts right down here. And this is about real estate training. And I've seen so much of this, not all of it, because some of it was before my time, but I've heard about and experienced it. So the very first lead generation training was Zig Ziglar on Have a Positive Mindset. And then we had Tom Hopkins and Roger Butcher saying, you've got to master scripts and dialogues. That was their big thing, their focus. And then Mike Ferry, focus on prospecting, and presentation. And then Floyd Wickman. Ooh, I wouldn't do Floyd Wickman. He had a course called Sweat Hogs when I was new. It sounded horrible, and I wasn't going to do that. Because he had to like legioning every day. And it just, no. I refused to sign up for Sweat Hawks. Well, my loss, my arrogance, my lack of understanding how this business is built. But he said, focus on listings is what Floyd Wickman was about. Get the listings, get the listings. And then Danielle Kennedy was about build a farm, do farming. Farming is the thing. That's how you're gonna build this business. And then, Pat Zaby said, build a database. Ooh, what comes up? And then I remember Hobbs and Herder. And Hobbs and Herder were all about marketing. Actually, they were a marketing company and they wanted you to brand yourself. And they wanted you to have like one agent was with a tiger, had his picture with a tiger because he was gonna fight for it. He was gonna be fierce for you. Yeah, but all of his material. And then another was about, he would go to the depths of the ocean for you, and he was a diver, so all of his marketing. So, and they're back then, and this was in the early 2000s, their marketing packages were like $10,000. They were beautiful, the materials were beautiful. They'd come up with this branding theme of you scuba diving or with a tiger or something.
Remember Tony Tiger?
Yes, Tony Tiger. Uh-huh. And then Howard Britton, who I loved, had a monthly Star Power. And every month I subscribed to is every month I would get a CD and it would have an interview with a top agent in the United States and they would share their materials. So a lot of my power tools came from the ideas I got from those people with Howard Britton and Star Power. Loved him, loved him. Got so much idea. It was about marketing yourself. And then we had then we had Brian Buffini and Joe Stump build a referral business, referral only. Well, yeah, we want to have a referral only business. And then Craig Proctor used direct response marketing. A lot of that was the IVR, instant voice response. Those the writers that had a phone number and you could call and get information on a house, that was a service. You could record the information about that house as before text messaging. So someone driving around, see a sign in a yard, would call that number, get your recording, and then you would capture their number and you would follow up on that. Because when they call that service, and I use that on all of my listings. So you would call all the sign calls, all the sign leads, and try to get business that way. And then Alan Hing and Michael Russer were talking about, okay, the internet, you gotta get on the internet, gotta start getting on there. And then Keller Williams came and said, they're all right. Now treat it like a business, because all of these things, there's not one of them. The problem with a lot of these types of trainings where they focus just on that. Does that make sense? Instead of looking at it like, yes, you've got to focus on listings, because we talk about lead, listings, and leverage in the MREA, how important it is. And you've got to master the scripts and dialogues. Farming can be a really good element of a lead gen plan. You got to do good marketing, but you have to do prospecting. So all of these things are right. You got to treat it like a business. That's where we came into the picture in 1983. So I'm going to look at, as we wrap up, what we're going into as far as topics. Has everybody looked at the topics yet? So what we're going to do on Thursday is talk about how, I hope a lot of you got to see Chad last Wednesday, Embrace the Evolution. And he talked about being invaluable. So Thursday's class is all about showing your value and expressing your value and about positioning yourself. Once you have that value set, it's about your value proposition. And I will be honest with you, we are talking about it more now this year because of the NAR settlement than we have in the time that I've been an agent. And this is not new material. You probably are reading some of it and think, well, that's a little dated. Well, it is, but the meat's here and it's good. So there's really nothing new and super innovative in real estate. Maybe some of the methods like the internet and other things and cell phones and all of that have come into play. Tools are different. But the actual what we do and why we do it and how we do it and how you succeed in this business. So that's what we're going to do on Thursday. Next week is about prospecting. And then we're going to talk about marketing. We're going to talk about database. You know, that makes me happy. Working with Mets, the people you know. We're going to talk about farming. Ooh, if you want to do farming, let's talk. Open houses. How can you do open houses at the highest level and get the best return? Just holding a house open. That's great. Except there are ways to plus it, and you need to be plussing it because there are other agents out there too. How do you differentiate yourself from the crowd? FSBOs and expires. So for those of you who want to give that a try, one of our agents, I'd say it was the year before the pandemic, in his first year, sold 23 houses. All of them came from this list. All of them. Did I say all of them? So for him, it was a perfect fit. It's not going to be a perfect. No, I'm not saying you're going to do all of these things. We're going to put them in front of you for you to see whether this is what I'm going to do, because you got to commit to these. Then agent to agent referral. Do you guys know that you can make really good money, agent to agent referral, and then referrals, out of state referrals? We'll talk about that during that. Then we're going to talk about lead conversion. You can have all these leads, but if you don't get anybody to an appointment or get them to say, I'm going to hire you, then all those activities you did mean nothing. So if you're doing open houses and you're not converting anyone, please don't get discouraged. That means there's something missing. There's an element to your skill or your knowledge that's missing that you got to build. And that's what this is going to help. And then the crowning session. So we're building, see what we're building? We're building a really sturdy structure here. Is living your goals is what we're going to finish out with. Because we're going to take these ideas and then you're going to pick. Really, in here, did you read? 3. Out of all of these, I want you thinking about what are my 3 going to be of lead gen. Now there's one I'm going to decide for you and you don't have a choice. What's that going to be? Thank you. Database. You don't get to choose.
How do you know which ones? Do you just try them all out and be like, okay, for 30 days, I'm gonna focus on open houses and see the result, because results only don't happen very fast.
Right.
So how do you, I know I've been doing open houses and I know there's some holes. I'm like, I wonder if I even like open houses.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just not for me.
Possibly.
So
Yeah.
how
I think some of you are going to know some of these things you want to do and not do just by the title of it. And then, yes, you have to commit to doing it at a very high level for no less than 30 days. Like you're going to go do farming, that's a year-long commitment. You don't just do it for a month and it works. No, it's not good. You might get lucky. That'd be lovely, but there's a high likelihood you won't get lucky in a month, right? So, and that's what we'll talk about. Some of these are what I call marathon activities, meaning you have to commit to a time. Some of these are what I call sprint activities. You could get someone on your first, I got my very first buyer in my very first open house. That was not skill, that was luck. I took it, right? Got 3 good leads and one turned into my first buyer. So that's what we're going to be doing. I can't wait to see you on Thursday. What was your biggest takeaway as I'm signing us off so that Rebecca can get us going for the I'll take 2 takeaways. Anybody at home on Zoomer?
Yeah, I'd say just implementing it and figuring out what out of these options what you want to do, and setting the actual time in your calendar to make sure it's there, so you take the time to do it.
Love it. Ryan, you had your hand up.
I love that you said we don't sell them, we help them. I thought that was great.
Awesome. Any other takeaways here? Time blocking. Thank you.
Hold yourself accountable for the things that are on.
Oh, Debbie says, hold yourself accountable for the things that are actually on your calendar. All right, you guys, awesome participation. Can't wait to see you on Thursday. All right, we will see you then. Bye, guys. Don't forget downsizing seminar tonight, 5 to 7. Even if you don't have someone coming, come and learn, soak up the knowledge so you can share it with others. All right, later, Gators.
Thank you.
How are you?